Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. Today, I want to explore something that's been on my mind for a long time. Does a wood used in a guitar cabinet really make a difference in tone? This project started with my search for the classic 1950s Fender Tweed sound. While researching, I stumbled across a video of Henrik Freischlater playing through a Realtone Film Sound reissue, also known as the Tweed Killer. The Film of Sound reissue is inspired by vintage film projector amps and delivers a warm, authentic tweed tone that instantly took me back to that classic sound. After buying the amp, I started reading more about the original 50s Tweed Deluxe cabinets. Fender used solid pine wood back then, which is said to give a warm, resonant quality. The floating birch plywood baffle was also designed to vibrate and add character to the sound. As a professional carpenter, I have access to a variety of woods, so I decided to test this theory myself. I built 8 1x12 open-back cabinets using different types of wood, but all with the exact same dimensions based on the original narrow panel tweed design. In this video, I'll share the results of this experiment. Let's find out if the type of wood really changes the sound of a guitar cabinet. To approach this from a fresh perspective, I decided to avoid the typical closed mic testing, where the speaker is recorded directly. Instead, I tested the sound in a real room, a standard rehearsal space. The amp was cranked up loud, and the microphones were placed about 2 meters away, at ear height, to capture the sound as a listener would hear it. For the miking, I used the mid-side technique. A Lewitt LCT 440 pure large diaphragm condenser microphone to capture the direct sound. An Audio-Technica AT4081 ribbon microphone to capture the room's stereo information. In short, the mid-side technique combines the central sound from the mid-mic with the spatial information from the side mic, creating a precise and flexible stereo image of the room. To ensure each recording was identical, I pre-recorded the guitar licks directly into an interface and then reamped them through the amplifier. This way, the performance is exactly the same for every test. The speaker in each cabinet is a well-broken and 12-inch 15 ohms Celestian Blue speaker. Of course, there are some limitations in my test. The room is not perfect, and the differences might be more noticeable in a studio. But that's exactly what I want to find out. How the wood of the casing affects the sound in a real, everyday playing environment. First, we'll compare the cabinets made from the 3 common types of wood: pine, birch plywood, and particle board. Please use headphones to fully experience the mid-side spatial sound. Let's start with a slightly crunchy lick. I've found a tool that I'll be using in the video from now on, the M Multi-Analyzer by Melda Production. It allows me to visually overlay and compare the frequency responses of different cabinets. The tool also highlights where frequencies overlap, making the differences much clearer. I think this will really help us pinpoint the tonal nuances. Let's compare the same thing with clean open chords. Next, we'll try all the cabinets with a classic Neil Young riff. And then, the same with a twangy telelick. From now on, we'll rely solely on our ears. We're turning off the EQ meter and focusing purely on what we hear. Let's see how the differences sound without any visual aids. Following some palm-muted chucks. To wrap up, here's a longer lick to compare the cabinets once more in the context of a continuous part. Before I share my opinion, I want you to stop the video right here and write your thoughts in the comments. What did you hear? Were there differences between the cabinets? Once you've shared your opinion, Continue watching to hear mine. We conducted this test as a team of 3, and we all stood in the same spot in the room during every comparison. Interestingly, we each perceived the differences slightly differently. One of us felt that the pointer's board had a more pronounced push in the low end. Another thought the MDF sounded clearer and more transparent than the other woods. Meanwhile, the third person found the MDF to sound a bit boxy. After the test, we all experienced only very minor differences between the cabinets. Personally, I think that changing the speaker itself has a much greater impact on the sound than the type of wood used in the cabinet. It's also worth noting that this was an open-back cabinet test, not a closed-back one, which affects the sound as well. In the end, the differences we noticed in this room, under these conditions, were so subtle that we all agreed. For the average guitarist, it's probably not that important what type of wood the cabinet is made from. Maybe we should spend more time practicing and making music instead. A big thank you to my colleagues for their help. This test wouldn't have been possible without you. It was definitely a fun experiment. Now it's your turn. Let us know what you think in the comments.